Welcome to Season 3 of the Undiscovered Metric, the marketing podcast where we interview industry leaders and explore how to measure what matters and stay ahead of the trends shaping the landscape. I'm the host, Irina, and today we have the pleasure of talking to Sarah Mansfield, former VP of Global Media at Unilever, who launched her own consultancy, Barcarolle, after 12 years of driving innovation and media and marketing strategy at Unilever. Sarah, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. If you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hey, hello. I'm Sarah Mansfield. I'm the ex-Global VP for Media at Unilever. Now a media consultant advising various different companies on how to get better media outcomes. At Unilever, I had extensive end-to-end experience in digital marketing, media, e-commerce, and communications across all of our brands, working out with our brands how to deliver better marketing outcomes and build admissible brands and significant value for the business.
Thanks again. So let's just dive into the whole booming topic of the retail media. It sounds like it's everywhere these days. Advertisers, marketers are talking about retail media, and it looks like projections are also suggesting that ad spend for retail media will grow exponentially in 2025 and over the next decade. So why do you think the channel is gaining so much momentum? What is so special about it? How would you describe it at the moment?
Yes, so I think you need to think about how consumers are shopping now and how brands are responding to that. So if you take consumers first, I mean, consumers now have so many options about where they can buy and how they shop. Online shopping has significantly increased in importance. And with that, how brands communicate with their consumers has changed as well. A consumer's expectations are that they're able to shop and buy anywhere at any time. So the multiple shoppable ad formats that have appeared has been exponential over the last few years. And with that, top of mind saliency is super, super important. So the opportunity for a brand like never before to be able to influence a consumer closer to the point of purchase via a retail media site is super, super exciting. If you combine that with the richness of the data that you can get in terms of purchase data, the ability to be able to put a direct ROI on your investment returns, which is super, super attractive to a brand because, ultimately they are accountable for how their media investment is performing. So actually being able to put a sales number on how much sales you're driving from your media is really super appealing, as I said. And retailer media quite often offers you that opportunity because you can attribute it directly back to a sale. And with that, more retail media owners have seen the opportunity to increase their revenue by offering ad opportunities for brands to advertise on their sites. So the amount of media inventory has increased, data targeting opportunities have increased with that as well, fueling this golden age in retail media.
What are advertisers most interested in achieving and exploring with retail media right now?
They continue to think about how they can optimize and improve and grow returns because most retailer media that's bought and sold is sales driven and sales is the primary objective. Having said that, a lot of brands with retailers are exploring how they can not just convert to purchase via retail media, but also maybe can leverage retail media sites to build brands as well. I think, realistically, that still needs to be proved out. I can understand why retailers would want brands to invest their monies in terms of building brands as well as converting brands. But, that continues to be another point of discussion. Measurement is forever a point of discussion, and getting more granular measurement and ensuring that you've got 360 data loops there as well. Because, just having tracking through to a click to a basket doesn't necessarily mean that that's converted to a sale. And, consumers could swap out your product for another product So, having the sales data and in, as much real time as well, because a lot of the sales data that you get is maybe on a deferred window. So being able to have more real-time data, more granular data is key and critical as well. And so I think those are probably, some points of a discussion. And, dare I say, and can't get through any meeting or any podcast without mentioning the two letters AI, and how AI can improve outcomes, but also improve content as well. In terms of how it can maybe reduce the cost of content, produce better content, and how content and media can be better optimized together. And obviously, you have a number of different products now from the big platforms like Google and Performance Max, or Meta with their equivalent as well, Performance Plus. So, and a lot of money is going into those formats at the moment. So, again, AI and how AI can really improve creative and outcomes are other topics of conversation as well.
So you've just mentioned other data sources and, and platforms and channels that marketers might potentially utilize. So let's say I'm a marketer who is just getting started. Maybe I have never heard of the concept of retail media, or maybe I've heard, but I've never worked with retail media directly. So why should I care? What makes it so unique for me? Or what are those unique insights that retail media can actually provide me with, other than all the data platforms, all the data sources that we're used to?
Yeah, I mean, it's the unique, it's the linked purchase data that quite often brands have never got before. Unless you're a D2C brand, it's very difficult, and you're handing off to a third party. Having that data loop back is something that brands, haven't necessarily had before. So it really is the purchase data and what that can deliver to a brand in terms of detailed insights that, that will inform targeting, be that, on past purchase behavior, current purchase behavior, or how you basically map a consumer's purchase habits to maybe to make some assumptions on them as a consumer, what maybe they might like to purchase going forward.
And of course, consumer behavior is overwhelming, right? Everybody talks about it. First-party data, third-party data. Marketers are also getting overwhelmed with a number of data sources, with the amount of data that they have to process to actually get down to those insights that matter for them. So when I am putting a marketing strategy together combined with a data strategy, when another marketing company or a marketer is putting that together, especially when they want to incorporate some retail media into that, what, in your opinion, are those common mistakes that marketers are making right now, and how could they potentially avoid those?
Marketers or retail platforms will provide you with a sales number, but what often marketers don't do in terms of the data that they're getting back, the ROI, is ask the basic things of, okay, all right, I'm seeing some big ROI numbers here. Is it too good to be true? And quite often I say, if it is a really big ROI number, it is too big to be true. So, always think about attribution. And think about, okay, all right, what else might have influenced this sale, other than my search ad or display ad that consumer has seen, because you're likely, attributing a number of different touch points that consumer may have engaged or seen, and attributing that to a marketing sale. So how much actual incrementality did that ad actually, add to consumers' purchasing from your brand? How much of it would they have purchased anyway, even if they had not seen that ad?
I mean, seeing an exciting number in front of your ROI measurement is great. I've also seen examples where the ROI numbers are really quite low. So in your opinion, where is the golden rule of evaluating your data quality? How do you personally say, Well, that data looks like reliable data to me. I can trust that marketing analysis as opposed to no, this ROI is strikingly high.
Don't look at one data point in isolation. Cross-reference it against a number of different data points. Obviously, look at a trend and track it over time and actually see how much deviation is between what you've seen before. And maybe, and if it is too low or too high, retest it, relook at it. I think, use a certain amount of gut feel. That, one of the challenges with data, I think, is, I think your discussion and debate that will come around some point in time is how can you actually trust the data you're getting from third parties? How is that data actually being verified? And I know, it's everything else is verified in this world, but how can you actually believe the data that is actually coming from retailers always? Are they marking their own homework? Should you actually maybe be thinking about, discussions, well, how can we, verify this through a third party? All of those things are valid discussions and valid points that maybe, advertisers need to start having with retailers. I mean, so I think there are a number of things that if you're an advertiser, if you want to take true accountability for your data, the quality of your data, that you should be doing.
And just going back to, the practical side of things. So how would you say brands can effectively integrate retail media data into their existing analytics ecosystem so that they can actually drive those smarter decisions?
Yeah, so thinking full funnel. So I think, as I said earlier, I was responsible for integrating retailer media into our full funnel planning systems and outcomes at Unilever. Don't look at retail media in isolation, which quite often brands do. Think about how actually you go through from awareness to conversion. So, from creating demand through to converting demand, and kind of what that whole full funnel looks like in terms of kind of measuring outcomes. And also ensure that you're looking at apples for apples, because every retailer pretty much has different ways of evaluating a sale, different attribution windows, what they account in a sale and what they don't. We don't currently, and there's a lot of discussion, debate how we get there, have any industry standards in this space. So you as a marketer need to make sure that you are assessing apples with apples, because if your job is to invest every dollar, euro, pound as best you can to get the best possible outcomes, you need to be making those decisions and calls around, well, which retailer am I going to be investing in? How much am I going to be investing in that retailer versus another? And to do that, you need to have comparable data sources in order to be able to do that.
Sarah, in your opinion, what is that one and only, or potentially a couple of overlooked metric that marketers should actually pay more attention to nowadays?
I've always said it already, incrementality.
Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit more so that marketers really understand why this is so specific and why they should care?
It's important because you need to be able to know that actually that ad, what actually truly it did drive in terms of revenue returns for you. So, would a consumer already have bought that product or would have bought that product without you buying that impression? And really understanding that, don't just rely on, last touch point, attribution. It's not enough in this world. So, because you will always be over accounting the returns that ad is creating if you do.
As a little bit of advice from your side, what are the go-to resources for marketing news and trends that you are using nowadays?
Various different trade press are always, really on the ball and on the money these days. There's various different blogs out there as well. Or just reading the news generally. I mean, if you've read any news in the last sort of 24, 48 hours, you'll see a lot of discussion, debates around the latest moves on Meta. There's a lot out there in the broader marketplace that gives you that macro perspective as well, that I think is super, super important, as a marketeer. So, just go broad, go wide, be curious. And, seek out different points of view, different perspectives, attend conferences, listen to podcasts like this, LinkedIn is a great source of, great source of information as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. And then just a final question from me. Let's imagine somebody totally overwhelmed with the amount of data, with the amount of marketing efforts that they're putting into something. Probably not a beginner, but somebody who understands that they're lost, trying to measure all the marketing efforts, trying to get down to those data points and the smart insights that they're trying to make. What would your advice be? How can I become a marketer who knows what they're doing?
Think about how you can make the complex simple, I think would be my piece of advice. It's something that's held, I've held my guard by, and I continue to think about it and think consumer first. So if you always think about it from a consumer's perspective, and, I think that will hold you in good stead. But try and see the wood from the trees. There are many data points out there. And I think, you really, really need to single down and think, okay, what are the primary metrics? What are the real metrics that matter? And how am I really going to focus on those and leverage those to optimize my outcomes?
Thank you, Sarah. It's been a great pleasure having you as a guest in our podcast. And we're wishing you all the best. Thanks.
Thank you. Same to you as well. Same to our listeners. Take care.